Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, the NCAA Men's Final Four moves to Arizona next year, how Glendale landed the big event.
And a look back at one of the biggest shots in March Madness history.
A skateboarder in Los Angeles pushes beyond his limitations.
Plus, hockey players help kids with cancer get a full fan experience.
And these pilots soar to new heights. All of this coming up on Cronkite Sports Report. Hello and welcome to Cronkite Sports Report here on the Valley Sports Network. I'm Sammy Miller.
And I'm Jonah Krell. We have a lot in store, from skateboarding to glider planes. Well, we start with March Madness. Last month saw one of the craziest NCAA men's basketball tournaments in recent history, with 3 teams making it to the Final Four for the very first time. And ultimately, UConn took home the national championship.
Yes, it was a wild ride, Jonah, that ended in Houston, the host city for this year's Final Four. Of course, no Arizona teams made it, but maybe next year when the Final Four moves to Glendale, Arizona, where schools like Arizona, ASU, or GCU could have home crowd advantage. How did Arizona land the Final Four? Cronkite Sports reporter Ashley Engle looks into the bidding process for the big dance.
The biggest event in men's college basketball makes its next stop in Glendale, Arizona in 2024 at State Farm Stadium.
Arizona is a welcoming state. We've got beautiful weather, we've got great hotels, we've got a great facility in State Farm Stadium. We just got all of the amenities that I think the NCAA looks for when they are trying to decide on a host city.
But this isn't the first time the state of Arizona and ASU has hosted an NCAA Final Four. Arizona State hosted the Final Four back in 2017.
We're very excited to have it back in Arizona. We know that this is a huge event. It's a great event for fans to come in. It's a chance for people to visit Arizona who may have never been before.
One of the unique rules that the NCAA has in order for the tournament to happen is that each city is required to have a university as a host. In this case, it's Arizona State.
ASU has been a great partner. Ray Anderson has been fantastic to work with us and helped on both bids and helping us land these events. And so their staff is integral in our planning process and our execution process.
Arizona State is involved with making sure the actual games run smoothly while also enhancing the player experience.
The game function piece of it, the actual, timing of it and the playing of it, making sure that it's running properly from a game standpoint, we're heavily involved in that.
Now, everything coming into place for a city to host a Final Four is not an easy layup. It takes a couple of years. Now, first off, a city will have to submit a statement of interest to host the tournament. After showing its interest, the city will submit questionnaires alongside with an initial budget and a hotel inventory spreadsheet. Once that is sent, the bid group makes an initial presentation to the NCAA presenting why they should host the tournament. The NCAA then narrows down to the finalists, and once those are chosen, additional documents such as venue agreements are submitted to the NCAA. Once those documents are ready to go, the finalists will present one last presentation to the NCAA Basketball Committee. After this, the committee will then meet together and decide who will be rewarded these events. As long as this process may take, this does not happen every year.
They do multiple cities in one bid cycle and multiple years in one bid cycle. So they opened up the bid process really in the summer of 2017 after we had hosted when things started rolling.
With many people helping out to set the stage, the countdown is on for ASU and Glendale to make the experience special for all. In Phoenix, Ashley Engle, Cronkite Sports Report.
That is going to be an exciting time in the Valley next year. Of course, every March, the tournament produces memorable moments, and you can always count on a handful of buzzer beaters.
Absolutely. We're going to go to the Wayback Machine to look at one of the best shots in tournament history. The year 1998. GCU head coach Bryce Drew was a player at Valparaiso. His dad, Homer, was the coach. Matt Venezia sat down with father and son to relive the moment simply known as the shot.
The shot heard around basketball. Does it still give you chills after all these years?
Chills, no. Chills during the shot, yes. As it was arched up high, it looked, Matt, like it was going to be short. And so I think that all the prayers in the building just kind of lifted it over, because if you watch the rim, it kind of hits the top of the rim and then goes right on in. And so now when we see it, I just get a smile because I know the ball's going to go in.
I remember I was standing right on the right side of the court over there while the first free throw was getting ready to go. The play then that happened it was really a blur. I thought the ball was short. When it's short, you kind of jump to try to give it that extra oomph, and so I felt like I was going to be short. It skimmed the rim, went in, and then I don't even remember diving on the floor. I don't remember anything till basically being on the floor.
2.5 seconds left on the clock. Free throws at the line. The first one is missed by Ole Miss. You call timeout. Can you take us inside the huddle in terms of what was being drawn up?
We just went through the possibilities of what might happen if he makes, if he misses, what are our options, and are we all prepared to do it? So it was really just a quick review, and with the hopefulness that he would miss it and we would get a chance to make a tie. And you could hear in the video of the shot, pacer, pacer. The play was being yelled out. Where did that originate from? When he missed the shot, the players looked over and they just yelled pacer, and that was the name of the play that we use for game-ending situations. I felt wonderful because they didn't need a coach. They knew exactly what to do.
Bill Jenkins threw three for the win! Go! Oh my! Oh my! Wow. Wins!
And Bryce, 25 years later, every time March Madness rolls around, you're still hearing about the shot. How does it feel to still be brought up in terms of one of the greatest moments in March Madness history?
It's a special blessing, you know, basketball family. My brother coaches at Baylor now, won the national championship. So we've been, you know, our lives, a lot have been, our schedules are entertained and around the NCAA tournament. So for have that moment in the tournament for something that we've dreamt of our whole life is very special, and now get to see the highlight years later, you know, makes it even more special.
And on top of that, I mean, after all these years now, to share it in a father-son relationship, what was that like, being on the floor and seeing your dad and having that moment together?
You know, we've always had a really close relationship. It's probably the reason why I went to play for him, you know, at Valpo. And at the time, it was very special. But as you've gotten older, and now I have a son who's 8, it's even more special to me. I remember at the time I got a lot of messages from people, you know, from fathers and sons, and comparing, you know, our relationship and theirs. And I understood it, but after having my own son, I think I understood it at a different level, you know, just how special it was.
Now, it was really special to me, but older brother Scott says, you know, if you don't go and play for dad, no more meals at home, no more cars, you know. So I think Scott put the pressure on him to come. But it was a joy for me for 4 years to have him.
70-69, the kid performs another miracle.
Now, Sammy, Matt tells us that was the first time they ran that pacer play to perfection. They never even executed it that well in practice when they had no defense.
It is crazy, Jonah. It only takes that one time at the right moment. What do they say? One shining moment? All right, coming up next on Cronkite Sports Report. A skateboarder who has to master more than the usual tricks.
Ah, that was so sketchy, but I'm counting it.
Plus, giving kids with cancer the ultimate sports fan experience.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. Now to a story about a skateboarder from Los Angeles. His name is Coco Altima, and he has worked to develop his skills that are difficult for even the best of the best to perfect. But there is something that makes this skateboarder's journey even more incredible. Cronkite Sports reporter Cam Dean has more from our LA bureau with Altima's inspiring story.
Skating is a sport that takes great balance, body control, and guts beyond any other. Skaters often scale half pipes, long bars, and various other obstacles. Imagine having to do it with limited or no vision at all. Skater from Los Angeles, Coco Altima, does it every single day. How do you feel about being a blind skater, and what motivates you?
Being a blind skater is a weird spot to be in because there's so few of us that when you go to your local skate park, you are the only one. I don't even see myself as blind. I see myself as a skater.
There we go.
When I feel like I might have trouble learning a new park, all I have to do is send it.
When I skate, I use this. It's called a cane. If I go this way, for example, and I believe the parking block is in
this direction, and yes it is, so I'll go around it. And then there should be a box coming up, and I can show you exactly how that guy works. So, yep, right here. So we've got the box right here. So, since I can now tell exactly where it's at and how tall it is, not very tall at all, I could do something like, that was so sketchy, but I'm counting it.
And you've competed in various competitions.
I've competed in Grind for Life Tampa Adaptive Division. I've competed in the Josh Comer Memorial Skate Jam at Fontana Skate Park. That was more of a street league or Olympic style contest. I want you to blindfold yourself just to show you, because even standing on a skateboard when you can see is hard. Give that a shot. Just keep it out in front of you. Keep the stick out in front of you.
In Los Angeles, Cameron Dean, Cronkite Sports Report.
Truly inspiring, such an amazing story. And now joining us from Los Angeles, here's Cam Dean to chat with us some more about Autumn's amazing story. Now, Cam, what were your emotions not only getting on that skateboard, but also skateboarding with a blindfold on?
Yeah, it was quite an experience. You know, obviously skating is a tough sport, and I'm not much of a skater anyway. So getting on that board completely blindfolded, I was terrified. But somehow Coco got me through it. He's such a pro at what he does, and having him kind of guide me through the skate park made me kind of comfortable. So.
And now skateboarding alone is a pretty dangerous sport. Now, on top of that, being blind, not being able to see where you're going, that makes it even more dangerous. So have you seen or heard of Coco's injuries that he's had?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. When Coco came in the park, he had scrapes everywhere. He had bandages on his knees. But to him, they were like battle scars. He was proud of them. Coco does this every day, and, you know, the scars he gets, it's just a part of it.
And Coco, he is so inspiring to so many different people. So what's next for him? What does he want to do with his big impact and big platform that he possesses?
Yeah, so Coco was very vocal about this. He said he wants to inspire people to go out and try other things, whether that's skating, whether it's going to college, pursuing a career. He wants to be an example for other people to go out and not make excuses.
Well, thank you so much, Cam. I really appreciate you telling this amazing story. Coming up next on Cronkite Sports Report. Arizona State hockey players help kids with cancer in a program called Triumph Together.
Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. As we look back on Arizona State's hockey season, there are many memorable moments. From opening the brand new Mullet Arena to sold-out student sections for nearly every home matchup. But one moment stands out among them all. Cronkite Sports reporter Lindsay Zienty has more on how ASU hockey gave back to the Valley this season.
Sun Devil Hockey has welcomed many special guests to host the ceremonial puck drop in their first year at Mullet Arena, but none with a story quite like the kids of Triumph Together. After his own experience giving back through the sport, former Division I hockey player Jack Gates founded Triumph Together with a mission to use sports to connect kids at children's hospitals to professional and collegiate athletes.
The support system that sports gives you and being feel included and a part of a team. A lot of these kids can't play sports because of things they're going through and things that are hindering them.
Payson Altice was one of 3 cancer warriors to drop the game puck, but she had been looking forward to this day long before she knew she would be spending it at Mullet Arena.
The 28th was actually her last dose of chemo at home, and we took that right before we left the house. And then so for her to go to the game and be recognized on such a milestone for her and our family, I mean, that was obviously just great.
When
occasion.
she dropped the puck, we were bawling. We were all just bawling.
That magical moment capped off a monumental day as Payson was able to cross off on her calendar the 910th and final day of chemo.
What's this?
My chemo chart.
Chemo chart. As you can see, we crossed off every day as we went along, and we finally reached the end. So.
Payson's best friend and fellow cancer warrior Mac Porter was also in attendance with his mother Danny to drop the puck. What may have been a typical Saturday night out for other families in the Valley symbolized much more for both Payson and Mac.
These memories, I don't know that they can ever replace the bad ones, but the more good memories you can accumulate can like offset how hard the bad ones have been.
Not only is this a memory that will stick with the kids of Triumph Together, but even more so the players of Arizona State hockey.
I just kind of mentioned to the guys before the game, like they haven't even started their life yet, and they're dealing with, you know, so many different issues, stuff that we've never had to deal with. So, you know, just kind of take advantage, you know, that we get to play hockey every day.
Just seeing how happy and excited they were to be around us and to be included is something special.
It's connections like this that Triumph Together wants to build across the sports world in helping create magical moments for kids fighting cancer. In Tempe, Lindsay, Zienty, Cronkite Sports Report.
Triumph Together relies on donations to make all of this happen. Founder Jack Gates says all of the money goes directly to the children and their families in need. If you would like to learn more about how you can donate or help, go to www.triumphtogether.net. Coming up next on Cronkite Sports Report, a sailport near the Superstition Mountains provides the ultimate gliding experience. Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. Sammy, imagine gliding thousands of feet in the air, carried only by the wind and the aeronautic engineering of your own aircraft.
Now, Jonah, I prefer an airplane with an engine, but I definitely have a lot of respect for glider pilots who basically float in the air. And as Cronkite Sports reporter Ryan Blank found out, Arizona has some of the best conditions to glide in the nation.
We're ready to go. If you look up east of the Sierra Estrella Mountains, you may see the wings of a glider sailing effortlessly through the distant sky.
You're resting up in the air and things are going by slowly and there's no sound. It's what you imagine as a kid would be like to fly as a bird. It's just really terrific.
The Estrella Sailport in Maricopa, Arizona is an outpost at the foundation of an evolving sport, glider aerobatics.
The type of flying that most requires a really good fundamental piloting skill, more than any other types of aviation. It's an interesting blend of physical control of the aircraft and of mental decision making.
That's because the competing glider pilots have an aerobatic box in which to showcase their skills in a sequence, balancing their pilot skills in the natural environment.
You want to have as much of the sequence as possible right in front of the judges. If you have a very strong wind, you're going to be coming into the aerobatic box and you might have to drive into the wind in order to have your first figure start in the right place so all the rest of the figures are in the right place.
And nowhere will you see more accomplished pilots who ride the wind like at the U.S. National Aerobatic Championships, held here this year.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to do the competition flying for a long time. I think the competition really is about yourself and competing against yourself and improving your skills year after year.
Competing here at the Estrella Sailport is special for all the pilots, as it is the birthplace of gliding aerobatics in the United States, dating back to 1969.
It's the place I love to compete at, and this is a great place for it because you can do glider aerobatics and all glider flying year-round.
A panel of judges scores the pilot's sequence, similar to figure skating, scoring different maneuvers such as looping and rolling figures.
We start as judges with the assumption that the figure is going to be perfect. So we start with 10, and then every time we see a mistake, we knock some points off. And there are all sorts of deductions for each of the various errors that you can make in a particular figure. So we deduct from 10 down to perhaps as low as 0.
But maybe more important than the competition is a chance to show off the sport, something that's been a goal of owner Jason Stevens since his family purchased the sailport in 1987.
That's really rewarding. I get to fly with lots of interesting people from all sorts of backgrounds and from all over the world. It's good that there's things like this that can bring people together.
It's amazing. You want to see it grow, because if it's growing, it's going to continue, down the line. One of the awful realizations or realities that we face as a pilot is that we're not always going to be able to do this. Helping to cultivate the newer generations of aerobatic pilots ensures that this amazing sport will continue in the future.
With my feet firmly planted on the ground, in Maricopa, Ryan Blank, Cronkite Sports Report.
Some of those shots from the sky were amazing. The Estrella Sailport continues to be the outlet for gliding aerobatics as the sport continues to grow and evolve across the U.S.
And Sailport owner Jason Stevens, who you saw in the story, just won his 6th national title in the unlimited category, the highest category of the competition. Impressive stuff. That's going to do it for this edition of Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Jonah Krell.
And I'm Sammy Miller. On behalf of everyone involved, thank you for watching.